Lieutenant Maya Chen squints through her helmet visor at the crimson skies of Nexus 7, leading her salvage team across the war-torn landscape. Twisted metal and strange technology litter the battlefield where Coalition forces recently pushed back the Vex Imperium. A faint biosignal draws Maya away from her team toward a collapsed bunker. "Lieutenant, we should stick to the mission parameters," Sergeant Kovic warns through the comm channel, his voice crackling with static. "Command wants us back before the radiation storm hits." Maya ignores him, tracking the signal through her helmet display. Something about the reading seems different from the usual battlefield debris. 5 minutes, Sergeant. This could be important. The collapsed bunker looms ahead, its metallic walls warped from orbital bombardment. Maya activates her suit lights and steps carefully through the fractured entrance. The biosignal grows stronger, pulsing with a rhythm that seems deliberately slow, almost like something conserving energy. "I've got movement," she reports, drawing her sidearm as a precaution. There, partially buried under debris, she discovers a massive creature, a Raxian war beast, genetically engineered by the Vex. Its scaled body, nearly the size of an earth tiger, but with 6 powerful limbs, rises and falls with labored breathing. Sophisticated neural implants glint along its spine. "Hostile biosignature detected," her suit warns. "Caution advised. Species classification. Raxian combat unit, Vex modified." Maya has seen these creatures before, but only through combat footage. Living weapons that charged Coalition lines with mindless ferocity. This one lies motionless except for its shallow breathing, pinned by a fallen support beam. Dark fluid seeps from wounds along its armored hide. "Lieutenant, what have you found?" Kovic's voice comes through again, tension evident. "Raxian war beast. Still alive," Maya responds, keeping her distance. "Terminated," comes the immediate reply. "Those things are walking weapons platforms. It could be booby-trapped." Maya approaches cautiously, weapon trained on the creature's head. Standard protocol is clear. No recovered enemy combatants, especially not bioengineered ones. Her finger tightens on the trigger. The beast's eyes suddenly open. Startling golden orbs with vertical pupils that contract in the light from Maya's helmet. It makes no move to attack, doesn't even struggle against the debris pinning it down. Instead, it watches her with an intensity that sends a chill down her spine. "Chen, do you copy?" "Terminate and return to extraction," Kovic insists. Something in those eyes gives Maya pause. Not mindless aggression or animal fear, but something else. Intelligence, awareness, and most surprisingly, resignation, as if it understands exactly what's about to happen. Acting on instinct rather than training, Maya holsters her weapon and kneels beside the creature, just outside striking distance. "You understand what I am, don't you?" The beast's eyes track her movement. One 6-fingered limb twitches, then deliberately extends toward her, palm up. A gesture no wild animal would make. "Lieutenant," Kovic's voice shouts through the comm as he and 2 others rush into the bunker, weapons raised. "Stand back." Maya rises and places herself between her team and the wounded creature. "Lower your weapon, Sergeant. We're bringing it aboard for medical treatment." "That's a violation of at least 6 protocols." Kovic protests, his rifle still aimed. "That thing has probably killed dozens of our people. And how many Raxians have we killed?" Maya counters. "Look at those implants. The Vex built it to follow orders, just like we follow ours." She turns back to the creature, whose golden eyes haven't left her face. "But I don't think it's following orders anymore." Her decision made, Maya activates her comm to the extraction ship. "This is Chen. We need a medical pod and heavy lifting gear at my coordinates. Priority 1. "For what purpose?" comes the confused reply. Maya looks at the creature, seeing not an enemy weapon but a fellow victim of a war neither of them started. "For a survivor," she answers simply. "The last survivor of this battlefield." Dr. Elias Wright runs his scanner over the sedated Raxian for the 3rd time, his brow furrowed in concentration. The medical bay of the salvage vessel hums with activity as monitoring equipment tracks the creature's vital signs. Fascinating, he murmurs, adjusting his glasses. I've never seen neural architecture like this before. Maya stands at the observation window, arms crossed. Will it survive? It's resilient. I'll give it that. Wright responds, gesturing to the holographic display. 3 broken limbs, internal bleeding, radiation poisoning, and yet it's stabilizing. But these implants are what interest me most. The display zooms in on metallic structures embedded along the Raxian's spine and brainstem, pulsing with faint blue light. They're not just control devices, Wright explains, excitement evident in his voice despite his exhaustion. They're cognitive enhancers. The Vex weren't just directing these creatures, they were elevating their intelligence while simultaneously suppressing free will. You mean they made them smart enough to be effective weapons, but not smart enough to question orders? Maya says quietly. Wright nods. Precisely. Cruel but effective. However, the damage to the primary control node has disrupted the suppression protocols. I believe that's why it responded to you in the bunker. Does it have a name? Maya asks. I doubt the Vex bothered with names, Wright replies. Serial numbers, perhaps. Maya approaches the medical pod, studying the creature's face. Even in sleep, it looks powerful, but somehow vulnerable. Fenrir, she says suddenly. Pardon. From Earth mythology. A wolf powerful enough to frighten gods. Maya places her hand on the transparent pod cover. His name is Fenrir. 12 hours later, Maya returns to the medical bay with her meal tray. She's taken to eating her rations while sitting near the pod, talking to the sedated Raxian as Wright works. The crew thinks I've lost my mind, she tells the unconscious creature. Maybe I have. You might be right about that, comes Sergeant Kovic's voice from the doorway. The captain wants to see you. In the command center, Captain Reeves doesn't look up from his console when Maya enters. Coalition Command has learned about our passenger, he says, his tone neutral. They're sending a research vessel to rendezvous in 72 hours. The specimen is to be transferred for study. Study? Maya questions, already knowing the answer. Dissection, most likely, Reeves confirms. They're classifying it as captured enemy technology, not a life form with rights. Maya's fists clench. That's not our call, Reeves interrupts firmly. I've already pushed boundaries by allowing Dr. Wright to treat it. He finally looks up. I'm sympathetic, Chen, but this is beyond my authority. That evening, Maya sits in the dimly lit medical bay, describing Earth's long history with canine companions to the seemingly unconscious Raxian. Thousands of years ago, wolves approached our campfires, she explains. We could have seen enemies, but instead we found partners. They hunted with us, protected us, became family. She doesn't notice the creature's eyes opening slightly, watching her intently. The Vex saw your kind and thought, weapon, Maya continues. We can do better than that. When she rises to leave, a 6-fingered hand slowly reaches out from within the pod, pressing against the transparent barrier. Maya freezes, then carefully places her palm against the other side. You understand me, she whispers. The Raxian's golden eyes blink once, deliberately. From the doorway, Wright watches in stunned silence, his datapad recording every moment. When the Raxian's clawed fingers begin tracing patterns against the pod, the same patterns repeated, Wright rushes to analyze them. It's attempting communication, he breathes, quickly developing a simple translation matrix. Basic signs, but definitely language. Hours later, as Maya prepares to finally get some sleep, the translation program interprets the Raxian's first clear message, a single word repeatedly traced. Help. You realize what you're suggesting is highly illegal, Captain Reeves says, his voice low as he looks between Maya and Dr. Wright. They stand in his private quarters, away from the ship's monitoring systems. So is vivisecting a sentient being, Maya counters. The neural scans are conclusive. Wright nods, displaying holographic brain patterns on his tablet. These activation patterns match sapient thought processes, and I've extracted fragments of historical data from the implants. The Hraxians weren't always weapons. They had a civilization before the Vex conquered them. The captain paces, conflict evident on his weathered face. Coalition Command doesn't care about ancient history. They see a bioweapon, not a person. Then help us prove otherwise. Maya pleads. We have 48 hours before the research vessel arrives. After a long moment, Reeves sighs. I'll authorize temporary removal of the security monitoring in the medical bay. What you do with that time is not something I need to know about. Thank you, sir, Maya says quietly. Don't thank me yet, he warns. If this goes wrong, my protection won't mean much. The medical bay glows with soft blue light as Wright carefully adjusts microscopic tools guided by holographic overlays. Fenrir lies conscious but immobilized on the operating table, golden eyes tracking every movement. We're removing the control protocols but preserving the cognitive enhancements, Wright explains to the Hraxian. You'll retain full intelligence without external suppression. Maya stands nearby, maintaining eye contact with Fenrir. It will hurt, but we can't use more sedatives without risking permanent damage. Fenrir blinks once, their established signal for understanding. When Wright activates the neural disruptor, Fenrir's body tenses, but no sound escapes. Maya places her hand on the Hraxian's shoulder, whispering encouragement as hours pass in painstaking work. Near dawn ship time, Wright steps back, exhausted. It's done. The control pathways are severed. For several minutes, nothing happens. Then Fenrir slowly sits up without assistance, eyes moving deliberately around the room before settling on Maya. One six-fingered hand reaches for the translator pad Wright developed. Characters appear on the screen, halting but clear. I remember. Everything. Admiral Vargas arrives 12 hours ahead of schedule, his shuttle docking with military precision. 6 security officers flank him as he strides toward the medical bay, Captain Reeves struggling to keep pace. The specimen is Coalition property, Vargas states flatly. Your delay in reporting it was already a violation. Sir, there are ethical considerations. Reeves begins. Ethics don't apply to enemy technology. Vargas cuts him off as they reach the medical bay doors. Inside, Maya stands protectively near Fenrir, who now wears a modified collar housing the translation device. Lieutenant Chen, Vargas acknowledges coldly. Stand aside. The asset is being transferred immediately. Maya doesn't move. Admiral, I request a formal hearing under Section 12 of the Sentient Rights Protocol. That applies to sentient beings, not weapons, Vargas scoffs. I am not weapon, comes an electronic voice from Fenrir's translator. I am person. The Admiral freezes, then recovers quickly. Clever programming. It's mimicking sentience. No, sir. Maya steps forward, holding out a data crystal. The Vex didn't give Fenrir sentience. They tried to take it away. These are historical records recovered from the neural implants, showing the systematic enslavement of the entire Hraxian species. She stands tall, meeting Vargas' hard gaze. Humanity once had laws against this very thing. Are we any better than the Vex if we continue their practices? Fenrir rises to full height, impressive, but making no threatening moves. Through the translator, words appear. Test me. Ask questions. I will prove mind is my own. The security team shifts nervously, hands on weapons. Vargas studies the Hraxian with narrowed eyes. You have 24 hours to make your case, he finally says. After that, the Coalition Ethics Council will make the final determination. As Vargas turns to leave, Fenrir's translator activates once more. Thank you for chance to be heard. The Admiral pauses, surprise briefly crossing his face, before he exits without another word. The ship-wide alert siren cuts through Maya's fitful sleep. She bolts upright in her quarters, already reaching for her uniform when Captain Reeves' voice comes through the comm. All security personnel to the shuttle bay. This is not a drill. Within minutes, Maya joins the gathering crew in the briefing room. Fenrir stands near the back, drawing nervous glances despite the coalition observer monitoring his every move. Outpost Theta has issued a critical distress call, Reeves announces grimly, activating a holographic display of a research station orbiting a barren moon. Vex remnant forces have breached their defenses. 48 scientists are trapped in the inner labs with life support failing. Security Chief Donovan steps forward. Our ETA is 30 minutes. We're the only coalition vessel in range, but we're severely undermanned for a rescue operation. The Vex will execute all personnel, adds the captain. Standard procedure for their retreating forces. An uncomfortable silence falls over the room as the implications sink in. Maya studies the station schematic, calculating impossible odds. I know Vex tactics, comes the now familiar electronic voice from Fenrir's translator. Heads turn in surprise. I can help. Donovan's hand instinctively moves toward his sidearm. Absolutely not. Sir, Maya addresses the captain. Fenrir was engineered to combat coalition forces. He understands Vex deployment patterns, security measures, and weak points better than anyone aboard. It could be a trap, Donovan argues. The perfect opportunity for it to signal its masters. Fenrir's translator lights up again. Vex are not masters. They are enslavers. The Hraxians' golden eyes meet the captain's. I choose to help those who helped me. After a tense moment, Captain Reeves nods. Prep the tactical shuttle. Chen, your team takes point with Fenrir. Donovan, coordinate from the command center. We launch in 10 minutes. The tactical shuttle shudders as it docks with Outpost Theta's emergency airlock. Maya checks her combat suit one final time as Fenrir moves to her side. Stay close to me, she tells him. Not everyone will be happy to see you. The translator blinks. I understand fear of the unknown. The team of 8 enters the station's darkened corridors, emergency lighting casting long shadows. Scorch marks and bullet holes scar the walls. Life signs detected in the central lab complex, reports Corporal Zhang, checking her scanner. But the main access corridor is blocked. Vex ambush waiting at secondary corridors. Fenrir's translator displays. Standard containment procedure. Sergeant Kovic scowls. So what's your suggestion? Fenrir moves to a seemingly solid wall panel, claws extending to pry it open. Maintenance tunnels. Too small for Vex armor units. Maya nods. We can get the scientists out that way. The team crawls through cramped maintenance shafts, guided by Fenrir's unexpected knowledge of the station's layout. They emerge into the central lab to find terrified scientists barricaded behind makeshift barriers. Coalition security, Maya announces, raising her hands to calm the panicked civilians. We're here to evacuate you. A senior researcher eyes Fenrir with horror. You brought one of them with you. He's with us, Maya states firmly. And he's your best chance of surviving. As they begin organizing the evacuation, alerts flash on Maya's tactical display. Movement at all approaches. They've detected us. Vex commander has arrived. Fenrir's translator shows. Approaching from the East Hub. Through the lab's surveillance feeds, Maya spots a heavily armored Vex officer directing troops into position. Her blood runs cold as she recognizes the distinctive insignia. Tactical Overseer, Fenrir confirms. He will not allow escape. The first explosion rocks the station as the evacuation begins through the maintenance tunnels. Maya takes the rearguard position alongside Fenrir, covering the scientists' retreat. The Vex commander appears suddenly at the far end of the corridor, leveling a plasma cannon directly at Maya. Time seems to slow as she registers the weapon's charge sequence, too late to dodge. Fenrir leaps without hesitation, his armored body intercepting the blast meant for her. The impact throws him against the wall, neural implants sparking from the damage. News of the Outpost Theta rescue spreads through coalition space like wildfire. The official report mentions a specialized asset that proved crucial to the mission's success, but unofficial channels buzz with stories of a Hraxian war beast that saved human lives. Maya stands at the viewport of the medical ship, watching stars streak by as they return to Coalition headquarters. Behind the glass partition, medical staff work to stabilize Fenrir, whose neural implants suffered severe damage from the plasma blast. Lieutenant Chen. A voice interrupts her vigil. She turns to find Senator Ilara Marcos, head of the Coalition Ethics Council. Senator, Maya acknowledges with surprise. I didn't realize you were aboard. I came to see this remarkable creature for myself, Marcos explains, studying Fenrir through the glass. Your hearing has generated quite the controversy. He saved 48 lives, Maya says quietly. And mine. Twice now. Marcos nods thoughtfully. So I've heard, but many still view all Hraxians as biological weapons, property, not people. With respect, Senator, that's exactly what the Vex believe. Maya turns fully toward the older woman. I've discovered something disturbing. The Coalition Science Division has captured other Hraxian war beasts. Most are being dissected. Some are being reprogrammed for our use. Marcos frowns. Are you certain? Maya hands over a data chip. See for yourself. We're fighting the Vex because they enslave other species, yet we're continuing the same practices. This will complicate matters, Marcos sighs, pocketing the chip. The hearing is no longer about one unique case but potential coalition policy. It should be, Maya insists. This isn't just about Fenrir, it's about who we are. The Coalition Ethics Council chamber falls silent as the doors open. Maya walks in with Fenrir at her side, his translator collar gleaming against his scaled hide. The plasma burns have healed, leaving new scars across his armored body. Admiral Vargas scowls from the prosecution table. This display is inappropriate. The subject should be restrained. The subject has a name, Maya responds calmly, as Fenrir stands perfectly still beside her. Senator Marcos, presiding over the 9-member council, raises her hand for quiet. These proceedings will determine whether Hraxians qualify for protected status under the Sentient Rights Protocol. Lieutenant Chen, you may present your evidence. For the next hour, Maya presents neural scans, historical data recovered from the implants, and testimony from the outpost Theta scientists. Finally, she steps aside. The council would hear directly from the Hraxian, Marcos announces. Fenrir steps forward, golden eyes scanning the room filled with humans who will decide his fate. His translator activates, the electronic voice echoing in the hushed chamber. I was created to kill, he begins. Vex made my body stronger, my mind sharper, but took away choice. Lieutenant Chen gave choice back. The Hraxian's massive head turns toward the viewing gallery. You fear what I am designed to be. I understand. But design is not destiny. A council member leans forward. How can we trust that you won't return to your programming? Programming with chains, Fenrir responds. Why would freed prisoner return to cell? He gestures toward Maya. Humans fight Vex because they take freedom. Why take mine? The chamber erupts in murmurs. Security footage from the hearings leaks to public networks. Across coalition space, debates rage about the definition of personhood. Opinion polls show a public deeply divided. Then comes the assassination attempt. During a public forum organized by Senator Marcos, 3 disguised Vex operatives open fire. Fenrir detects them seconds before they attack, tackling 2 civilians to safety before intercepting a plasma grenade meant for the crowded room. The news broadcasts show the same scene repeatedly. A Hraxian war beast, once feared, standing protective watch over injured humans until medical teams arrive. The vote was 7-2 in favor. Senator Marcos informs Maya, her holographic image flickering slightly in the ship's communication chamber. Fenrir has been granted provisional personhood status, the first for a non-human engineered species. Maya exhales in relief. And the others. The council has ordered all experimentation on captured Hraxians to cease immediately. pending review. Marcos looks tired but satisfied. It's a beginning, Lieutenant. After the transmission ends, Maya finds Fenrir in the observation deck, staring at the star map. We won, she tells him. The translator lights up. One battle. War continues. Fenrir raises a clawed finger to the display, indicating a sector deep in Vex territory. My homeworld. Grax. Others suffer there still. Maya studies the coordinates with growing unease. That's beyond coalition reach. Behind 3 Vex defensive lines. I remember fragments. Fenrir continues. Breeding facilities. Modification centers. Millions of my kind born into servitude. His golden eyes meet hers. You freed one. Could free more. Captain Reeves shakes his head firmly. Absolutely not. Coalition Command would never authorize such a mission. Maya stands in his office alongside Dr. Wright and Security Chief Donovan, who has surprisingly become one of Fenrir's advocates. We don't need a battle group, Maya argues. Just a stealth scout ship, the Penumbra, small enough to slip through Vex detection grids. And if you're captured, Reeves challenges, the intelligence you possess would be catastrophic in Vex hands. Donovan steps forward. Sir, I've served in 3 campaigns against the Vex. They're brutal but predictable. Their focus on the northern front leaves gaps in their perimeter defenses. Dr. Wright adds, and I've been analyzing the historical data from Fenrir's implants. The Vex don't expect resistance from the Raxians. Security on Rax itself might be minimal. Reeves turns away, staring at the tactical display on his wall. After a long silence, he speaks without turning. The Penumbra is scheduled for routine maintenance in the outer hangar. Security systems will be offline for approximately 72 hours. He finally faces them. I know nothing about this conversation. The Penumbra slips through space like a shadow, its stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible to Vex sensors. Maya pilots while Wright monitors the ship's emissions. Fenrir sits motionless in the navigator's seat, his neural implants interfaced with the ship's systems to guide them through territory only he remembers. Approaching Crack's orbital space, Maya announces quietly, as if the Vex might hear through the vacuum. Minimal patrol activity detected. The planet that appears on their view screen looks nothing like a homeworld should. No cities shine from its surface. No vegetation patterns break the industrial monotony. Instead, massive complexes stretch across entire continents, connected by transport networks. Breeding and modification facilities. Fenrir's translator displays. I was created there. He points to a sprawling complex near the equator. Life sign readings are off the charts, Wright says in disbelief, studying his scanner. Millions of Raxians, all concentrated in those structures. This isn't a military outpost, Maya realizes with growing horror. It's a factory. They land under cover of darkness near a smaller auxiliary facility, using terrain features to mask their approach. As they prepare to exit the ship, Fenrir hesitates at the airlock. What's wrong? Maya asks. The translator flickers. Never thought I would return. Never knew where I came from until neural blocks removed. Donovan checks his weapons one last time. You're not coming back as a weapon. You're coming back as a liberator. Fenrir's massive head inclines in what they've come to recognize as agreement. Small team. Big planet. How free millions. Maya secures her tactical gear. We start with intelligence. A single sample of unmodified Raxian young. Proof for the coalition of what's happening here. Then we leave. Wright asks. Maya and Fenrir exchange a look. That depends on what we find, she answers carefully. The facility looms before them, a monolithic structure of dark metal and harsh angles. Maya adjusts her tactical visor, scanning for security systems. 2 guard stations, automated turrets at each junction, she whispers. We need another way in. Fenrir studies the building, head tilted. Waste disposal access. Minimal security. His translator blinks as he adds, Vex consider efficiency paramount. Guards waste resources where machines suffice. They move silently through shadows until reaching a massive drainage pipe. Inside, the acrid smell of chemicals burns their nostrils. Life signs ahead, Donovan warns, checking his scanner. Multiple signatures, non-vex. The tunnel opens into a dimly lit chamber. Maya freezes at the sight. Dozens of young Craxians, barely half Fenrir's size, huddle in containment cells. Their scales lack the metallic reinforcement of the war beasts, and no neural implants mar their spines. Preparation area. Fenrir's translator displays. Before modification. Wright scans one of the younglings. "These are children," he whispers, horrified. "They're just children. We take as many as we can carry," Maya decides. "Get evidence for the coalition. Then..." Fenrir suddenly tenses, head swiveling toward a wall panel pulsing with faint blue light. He approaches it, six-fingered hand extending hesitantly. "What is it?" Maya asks. "Neural network hub," Fenrir explains. "Connects all facilities, all Praxians with implants." His golden eyes turn to Maya. "Like the one you removed from me." Understanding dawns. "You can access it." "Yes, but risk detection." Maya weighs their options. The mission parameters called for stealth, evidence gathering, and quick extraction. Attempting to access the Vex neural network could trigger alarms throughout the planet. "Do it," she decides. "We're already breaking every regulation in the book." Fenrir places his palm against the panel. His neural implants glow brighter as he establishes connection. His massive body goes rigid, eyes unfocused. Neural handshake establish. Wright confirms, monitoring Fenrir's implants. He's inside the system. Long minutes pass in tense silence. Then alarms blare throughout the facility. "We've been made." Donovan raises his weapon. "Extraction, now." "Wait," Maya orders, watching Fenrir. The Hraxian's eyes snap back into focus as he disconnects from the panel. "What happened?" she demands. The translator activates. "Shared memories, shared freedom." Fenrir looks at the young Craxians, who now watch him with newfound awareness. "The network connects all Praxians. What you gave me, I now give them." Before Maya can respond, the facility's lighting shifts to emergency red. But instead of security forces converging on their position, chaos erupts throughout the complex. Surveillance feeds on nearby monitors show Hraxian war beasts throughout the facility breaking formation, turning on startled Vex handlers. "What did you do?" Donovan asks, amazed. "Showed truth, showed choice." Fenrir moves to the containment cells, effortlessly breaking the locks. The young Craxians gather around him. "We must leave. Now." They race through corridors in organized retreat, Fenrir leading the younglings while Maya and Donovan provide covering fire against the few Vex security forces they encounter. Wright coordinates their path back to the extraction point. Maya notices something remarkable as they run. Throughout the facility, liberated Hraxians are subduing Vex personnel, but not slaughtering them as expected. Instead, they're systematically disabling weapons, communications, and transport systems. They're not seeking revenge, she realizes aloud. They're securing their freedom. A massive explosion rocks the North Wing. Their escape route is cut off by collapsing infrastructure. Maya takes a plasma bolt to her side, the impact throwing her against a wall. Through blurring vision, she sees Fenrir standing protectively over her, communicating with other enhanced Hraxians through subtle movements and vocalizations. 1 year later, Maya stands in the Grand Chamber of the Coalition Council, a discreet brace supporting her left leg where the plasma bolt had shattered bone. The chamber hums with anticipation, filled to capacity with representatives from every coalition world and media from across settled space. Lieutenant Chen, Senator Marcos acknowledges from the central podium. "Are you prepared to present the ambassador?" Maya nods, turning toward the entrance. The massive doors slide open to reveal Fenrir. He walks forward with measured dignity, his appearance transformed from when Maya first found him wounded on Nexus 7. The neural implants along his spine have been reconfigured into an elegant communication device, extending to a collar adorned with symbols representing both his Raxian heritage and coalition friendship. A ceremonial sash crosses his powerful chest, bearing the newly created insignia of the Raxian Free Collective. As Fenrir takes his position at the diplomatic podium, Maya steps back, watching history unfold. For months after their escape from Rax, Coalition intelligence had monitored the unprecedented revolution spreading across the planet. A liberation conducted with surgical precision rather than vengeful chaos. Esteemed representatives of the Coalition, Fenrir's translator voice resonates through the chamber, smoother and more natural than the crude device Maya had first created. I stand before you as the appointed voice of my people, who 1 year ago knew only servitude. Maya's gaze drifts to the observation gallery where Dr. Wright sits alongside Captain Reeves, Security Chief Donovan, and other members of the original salvage team. Countless diplomatic meetings, medical examinations, and security briefings had led to this moment, the first formal treaty between the Coalition and a former Vex-subjugated species. We were created to destroy, Fenrir continues, engineered for war. Our minds shackled to another's will. A human taught us we could choose to protect instead. Heads turned subtly toward Maya, who maintains her formal posture despite the emotion tightening her throat. The Raxian Free Collective offers not our fangs and claws to your battles, but our eyes that see in darkness, our minds that understand Vex patterns, and our determination to ensure no species suffers as we have suffered. Senator Marcos steps forward with the treaty display. The Coalition recognizes the sovereignty of the Raxian Free Collective and welcomes your people as friends among the stars. As formalities conclude and dignitaries rise to mingle, Dr. Wright approaches Maya with a rare smile. Humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology, he comments as cameras flash around them. It was our ability to recognize a person, even when they come in unexpected forms. Maya watches Fenrir navigate the crowd of diplomats with surprising grace. We almost lost sight of that ourselves, she replies quietly. Their conversation halts as a young girl, the daughter of a Coalition delegate, slips past security and approaches Fenrir directly. The chamber tenses, but the Raxian ambassador lowers himself to the child's level, massive head inclined attentively. Are you really a space dog? She asks with innocent curiosity. Through his translator, Fenrir responds with what might be the equivalent of a smile. I am what your kind once called a friend. Sometimes, that is enough. As Maya steps forward to guide the child back to her mother, she shares a meaningful glance with Fenrir, a silent acknowledgement of how far they've both come. From a battlefield where one soldier refused to see an enemy, to a council chamber where two species forge a future. Behind them on the display screen, footage from Crax shows Craxians and Coalition medical teams working together to remove control implants from recently liberated war beasts. The cycle of weaponization broken, giving way to something neither the Vex nor the Coalition had foreseen. Understanding.